Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Happy to see you again. Another episode, co-hosting with me, Jamie, and my good friend.
Uzwell.
Yep, and we're here for 0 Hour Thoughts. So, today we're talking about subtle addictions. So we all heard of addictions, but these specific addictions we'll be talking about today are social media, porn addictions, drinking, and behaviours and dependencies. So it's quite a mouthful, but these are the addictions which are not so obvious, things not like hard drugs. Specifically, porn addiction and social media. These are things that have become very obvious to us young people as we have a mobile phone at our fingertips. First of all, I'd just like to state that Ujwal's going to give some statistics, and we're going to share our experiences, and we'll come to conclusions. We don't have all the answers. We're not experts. We're not priests. We're not going to say don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. We're just a couple of guys trying to find the truth.
Yes. So we're going to talk from the perspective of young people, as we are, and this whole podcast is about talking about young people. So the reason we chose to talk about this topic today is because these topics are not being talked about more often, and they are impacting our life quite a lot. Doom scrolling, going through social media all the time, and social media is like a scapegoat for us. And so I thought we should be talking about it, and we're here. Yep. So social media, addiction. Sorry.
Just a moment. But just before we get into this, I want to define what addiction is itself, because there's going to be a bit of confusion. Not everyone's going to know exactly what it means. I don't know exactly what it means, but according to the NHS, which you could argue is a trusted source, they describe addiction as not having control over doing, taking, or using something to the point where it could be harmful to you. And I think that goes without saying to others as well. And I just want to say I'm unpicking this statement. First of all, taking or using something, not just hard drugs, but this can also include soft drugs and prescribed drugs or even alcohol. These are the chemical things that you choose to put into your body. But not only that, there are things we have no control over consuming, or at least we feel we have no control over consuming. Things like doom scrolling, selfie taking, watching porn, gambling, overeating. There are so many things that people do they know is not quite right for them. But we want to unpick the reasons why and maybe discuss how we can, fix this.
Definitely. When you talked about the definition of addiction, addiction it's not anything or everything. There are some things which are compulsion, and there are some things which are addiction. Addiction is a disease, and it brings changes in your neurological systems. Your neurons basically stop connecting with each other when you are addicted to something, and when you take it regularly more and more often. There were this research done in which basically there was this professor at the university who was trying to do research on how people are consuming the things that are addictive to them. So he was trying to do it on porn addiction, and he found out that he couldn't find a sample students which were never introduced to porn before at the university. So everyone has had porn. So when he wanted to do the research, the brain scan of the people who watch porn from the childhood or from the adulthood, he couldn't find it. So the reasons were the same thing goes with the people who are addicted to social media and all those things, because it's so hard to find them or define what addiction is really. So I was really happy that you put the addiction, the definition of addiction forward.
Awesome stuff. So what are we getting into first?
Let's talk about social media.
Yeah, let's go for
doom scrolling.
Yeah.
For those who don't know what doom scrolling is basically the addictive nature of social media that encourages users to constantly seek out new content, often leading to negative experiences, which brings doom and gloom in their life. So basically, you are out there on your phone, on your smartphone, and you are watching from one sad video to another sad video, from one negative video to another negative video. So your brain is processing different kind of emotions or similar kind of emotions again and again and again. It's giving you that dopamine rush, which is not healthy for us. Yeah. And there is something called infinite scroll as well. So basically, in social media, there is no end. Have you ever reached the bottom of Instagram page?
I've never done that. Have you?
No, never. It doesn't matter how many times you scroll.
Oh, that was a gullible thing for me to say.
It doesn't matter how many times you scroll down. You never reach the bottom.
I thought it was possible. There'd be like a little emoji saying congratulations.
Yeah,
obviously not. There's news. The thing is, there's more information than our brain can handle.
Yeah.
Like, this isn't true. Like 50 years ago, there was limited information. Now we've got the opposite. We've got lots of information. So what do we look at? You know,
Lots of information, lots of information to process, but we are actually processing less than people did in the past. Same with our connection in social media with our friends. Well, if you look at anyone's profile, average people's profile, they will have like hundreds of friends in their Instagram or their Facebook or their any other social media platform. And if you ask them, okay, how many of them are your real friends? Like, how many of them do you actually talk with? They will say 1 or 2. So how sad is that?
Yeah.
Like, we live in this this day and age where it's so easy to send someone a text or call someone and meet up with them if you have means to meet up, or just to text and call, like, check how they are doing. But we are not even doing it. We might as well send them letters at this point.
That's not a bad idea.
So it's like people back in the day when they were sending letters or telegrams from one place to other place, they seem like they had more friends in the other side of the letter than we have now. We don't have real, genuine friends. It's really hard because everyone is trying to show off what they have in the Instagram.
Yeah.
Everyone is trying to show off what they don't have and what they want in those social media apps, and we're just looking at it being sad. Oh, shit, my life is not like that.
That's not the full picture, though. Right.
It's not the full picture.
No.
It can be beautiful experience for you. You have this amazingly productive thing that you do, and you can put it out there, and people will appreciate it.
Yeah.
And that can be beautiful. But it can also lead to the the seeking of attention and all that as well. Yeah.
It's not. The thing is, people are going to record what you want them to see. Like, even right now, I could be at my worst state, with my nice haircut, not as nice as it is. Or with a nice haircut, maybe after a shower, a bit messy. But we're presented ourselves. And that's what it is. When you use social media, you are presenting yourself. And you need to decide what's the best way to represent yourself, really.
Yes. It's like a stage, isn't it? It's like a stage where there are a bunch of people who might clap. But if you're in a stage, in real life stage, you will see if your joke lands or it flops. But social media is like kind of a platform where the only in real estate you get that feedback immediately. But in that stage, you put it up there, you wait for a few minutes, and you don't even know if someone clapped on it, someone liked it, someone hated it. And then you go through the comments, and most of the comments are the hateful comments, and you're like, oh, man, I did such a wrong thing doing this. And you get discouraged to do that. So many people who are very creative, they try doing something new. And because of the discouragement that comes, because, there are people out there who are very, very nice at doing things that even we are doing. Like, this is not the most professional setting for the podcast, or even professional podcast that we're doing. But it doesn't mean that we will not get there. So this is the message that I'm trying to, that we are trying to give out there. It's like, yes, if there is something that you love, you should go for it. If there is something that you like doing it, do it. There will come a time when you hate the thing that you like itself, but that's the part of the process. Not all of us are going to be entrepreneur that you see on Instagram or on YouTube video. Not all of us are going to be that YouTuber who is followed by the neighborhood kid everywhere they go. All of us are not going to be those Instagram click hungry peoples who get so much attention and all that. We're not going to be that. Because there are many factors, and one of them is it's only very unique few people who get to that position. It doesn't matter if that position is good or bad in your eyes, but they are in that position. We're not going to get to that, so there is no point in pursuing something that's not going to happen to us. But what we can do, if that is one of the things that you like doing it, you might be able to pursue it because you like doing it. But the part of that journey includes pain. You have to go through pain and suffering and difficulties, because when you start something, even though you like it, you will get to a point where you start hating it. You absolutely despise doing it. But that's just one part. If you go above than that, you'll be like, oh, wow, look at this now. Like, it's so effortless. When you see KSI making a video, it's effortless for him. Like, it doesn't... He went through all those processes.
He's got people doing his work for him as well.
For him as well now, yes.
And
he can sit back, relax, and be as he is, and it will be the content that is consumed by half of the Britain at this point.
This reminds me of something that we disagreed with before. So we were talking about bad comments, and I take issue with people having no names on social media. Someone saying user 12458 or whatever. I know we've disagreed about this before, but I'm standing against nameless people. I think we should have transparency, and people should show who's giving that opinion. Because if people are just trolling, then you're going to discourage a lot of people. That's what I think.
So my point of argument on that one is the freedom of expression.
Yeah.
If someone has freedom of expression, who are we to judge what name they have when they're expressing the freedom? And also my cybersecurity aspect of it comes here.
Right.
Because if someone, let's say WikiLeaks and all those people, if they had remained anonymous and not, reveal themselves, or if they had the means to be anonymous, and there are many anonymous organizations as well who do nice, like ethical hacking things. But there are some who are anonymous and who do the worst hacking and all that as well. But that not having that name or not having to present yourself gives you an opportunity to be anonymous, and without showing your face, you can say something. But I do agree with you in some sense that, like, if you're commenting on someone, just pointing out their bad aspect, you should also be able to show why is that bad. Like, if you are good at it or not.
Yeah.
You can't make judgment on other. Like, I know so many things about, like, I know what a good video and a bad video looks like. But if I'm not capable of making that good video, I can't judge on a bad video person saying, oh, your video is shit. Because I'm not good enough either.
Right.
So what am I judging on?
Yeah.
Nothing.
I mean,
but that is the whole social media right now.
I think it's where your heart is at as well. If your heart is, I care for this guy, I want him to do better, there's no problem with giving criticism, really. But if you're just online so that you can fill the world with crap, then find something better to do with your life,
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's, there are so many things we can be doing. Reading a book is one of the examples, which is getting rarer by rarer these days.
And I suppose this is an example of behavior addiction. So if you're on social media, maybe you're addicted to a behavior which might be trolling, which could be associated with bullying, and that might be a wider problem in your life. I
think there was this BBC interview or something of this guy who was like who was basically like a full-time troller. Apparently he had like 12 or something accounts in his name, and he would go log in with one of those accounts and start commenting, and when people disagreed, he was like, oh, I liked when I said something bad about that person, oh, when I like doing this, I like doing that. It's like, so your life is basically all about you going, like, hiding behind a name, like you said, and going and trolling someone just to ruin their day.
Yeah, I think it's the high they get from that, and just like all addiction, it's the high and the no responsibility, and also they don't feel they have control over it, so they think, why should I stop?
And sometimes they don't have control over it. Because so there is this amazing YouTuber, but he's a doctor as well. He's certified licensed doctor from America. In YouTube, he goes by Dr. K Healthy Gamer, and he talks about the addictions such as porn addiction and all of the sorts of phenomena, like neurological things that happens to us, like why we're so lonely, we're unable to go and speak with other people, and all those things. He talks about it. Yeah. And going back to that topic, he was basically saying, when you're addicted to something, you should not want to leave it immediately, because when you're addicted to something, you have a habit of giving your brain a dopamine rush in routinely basis that your brain is basically habituated. It's like, so basically, when we go to porn addiction, you're addicted to porn. Every day you watch porn before going to the bed, and you can only sleep after watching a pornographic doing the deed, pornographic content with one hand on your device and one hand somewhere else. So when you do that, your brain is basically in the loop of, okay, I'm gonna get this thing at this time, and I'm gonna get this thing again tomorrow at this time. And one day or a few days you interrupt, your brain will be like, who the hell are you to stopping me getting this dopamine from? So your brain actively wants it, because you basically made it a habit by doing it regularly.
And it makes people less sensitive. So they want that thrill again, so they go for something a bit more weird.
Even more crazier and crazier.
That's why you get headlines of the most creepy stuff of what people, their favourite category, is because these are like long-term watchers, basically. And they're getting all these views. They're viewing all these weird concepts.
And on to add on that, so basically, doctor.
So we're moving on to the P word now, are we?
In a bit. The doctor, what he basically said was like, if you want to stop any addiction, or specifically porn addiction, because it's not that kind of addiction that physically hurts you. You don't see physical changes in you because of porn addiction, but you see behavioral and your neurological changes because of porn addiction. Like it's as same as any other addiction, just it doesn't involve taking those stuff, inhaling or taking those stuff in your body. It involves doing the opposite, to be exact. So what he said was like, you should. So basically, you're addicted to consuming the pornographic content till now, you can't say from tomorrow I'm going to stop it completely. It's not going to happen to you. What you should do instead is like, okay, instead of once a day, I'm going to make it once every 2 days or once every 3 days.
Yeah.
And you gradually go
Slowly
to that
push
process.
yourself.
Yes.
Don't go what we call cold turkey. Have you heard of that?
No.
So it's basically nothing. So
Okay.
just going off it. That's called going cold turkey.
Yeah.
Maybe it works for some people. I don't think it works for most people.
You need to have very, very high discipline in
Yeah.
order to do that.
Yeah.
I have a friend who actually said during COVID time, he was absolutely into it, like going at it for like hours and hours in a day.
It was like
But-
a pepperami.
Yeah, but then he stopped watching it apparently. That's what he says, and I believe when he says that because he is very self-disciplined person. Like if there is any person in my friend circle, like you know half of my friend circle,
Yeah.
there's the other half of my friend circle. If there is anyone who I trust, when that person says, "Oh, I don't do that," I
Yeah.
know for the fact that he will not do it, and so it works for him, but it doesn't. It's not necessary it will work for everybody.
Can I expand on that point of he did it too much?
Yeah.
This is like the example where the dad says, "Son, stop smoking." The son goes, "No." And the dad says, "All right, I'm going to give you 20 packs and you have to smoke them this week." They smoke them and they never smoke them again. That's like a famous anecdote.
But what if the son sells the 19 pack and he smokes just only 1 pack and he starts a drug cartel business
But what I
from
mean
it?
is doing too much of a good thing's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So if he's
Too much sugar is
if he's
bitter.
burned this into his mind, it probably got to a point where he was actually physically sick about doing it. Maybe
Yeah.
that works. I just wanted to point out, I don't think this is relevant to social media, but this is relevant to the idea of too much of a good thing is a bad thing.
Yeah.
In Portugal, it was actually in the 1970s they ended a 40-year dictatorship, and this made all drugs legal. So and also all commodities. So something like Coca-Cola was coming about in Spain at the same time heroin and cocaine was coming about.
Oh wow.
And the people were too weak to understand self-discipline because they'd been living under tyranny. And what happened was in 2001, Portugal became the first country in the world to decriminalize hard drugs.
Yep.
And this meant that anybody could inject themselves with heroin, technically for free. And what we have to remember is that 1 in 10 people in Portugal from the 1980s was addicted to heroin. And
That's
now
a very large number.
yeah, it is. And it worked for them. I don't know if
Okay.
it works for everyone.
Yeah, there are certain people say when you look at the average of EU, the Portugal's drug abuse average is less than the average of EU. So in that sense, they say it worked. But then other people are like, oh, what if they were always going down? What if it was already going down? And I'm like, okay, what's your argument? Your argument is what if? It's not the like. There is one famous person online. I forgot his name. I think he's Christopher Hitchens' brother. He's very good guy. When it comes to talk about other stuff other than addiction. When he was talking about addiction, there is famous clip with Matthew Perry. You know Matthew Perry from Friends?
Yeah.
So Matthew Perry says, Matthew Perry was an alcohol addict.
Yes.
And he basically on that video, he says, oh, okay, it's the first drink that I can resist, but if I have the first drink, I can't resist the other drinks. And it is backed up by all the research, all the study that they have done in people that, yeah, it is true that they can control the first drink, but once they have the first drink, they can't control the other ones. And he was the guy that I said, whose name I don't remember, sadly, sorry. He was basically saying, no, you have choice. Addiction is choice. Addiction is choice. You're making choice to do something. It's like putting something in your body or taking something out of your body. You're making that choice. It is choice if you just look at it in very objective way. I am making choice to turn my phone on, go to a website, search something, click on something, and then do the deed, like they say, like you said.
Yeah, do the deed.
Do the deed. So it is my choice, but what leads me to do that? And if it is addictive and routine behavior, if it is my brain telling me that you got to do it,
Yeah.
do I have as much control as they say I have? No, not really.
Can I point something out? The difference between most addictions and the P word is that this is instinctual. Like you need to eat.
Yeah.
You know, you need to eat. You need to reproduce.
Yes.
So, in a sense, it's not bad to watch it.
Yeah, you're not gonna get hair in your palms by watching it, or your eyes are not gonna blind by watching or something like that.
Yeah.
But it will bring about a change in your life, the kind of change that you don't like. Like once it happens, when you watch the content and when you do the deed, and after that you start hating yourself.
Yeah.
and then your self-esteem goes down.
And
And
it's
the
not
way you,
something to be proud of.
it's not.
No, I don't come into work the next day. I'm like, I had a last night. No one's bragging about it.
No, but on the other hand, watching like other drugs, they're kind of I don't know how to say signified, not signified.
Social?
They're kind of like idolized. A person who are addicted to drugs, like hard drugs, when that person turns their life around and becomes someone very famous or very good, their story will always include, oh, I was this, I became this.
Yeah.
Without that, it's almost like without that addiction, they couldn't exist. They could exist without the addiction, but without the addiction. But I think with the addiction, it makes their struggle even more severe. Like their struggle was very hard, and when I look at that, I can understand that, okay, like even through that adversity I can go and become someone good. But at the same time I can also feel, oh yeah, if I take drugs for a few years, after that I can totally change my life, so I'm going to take it for a few years.
There's the no responsibility.
Yes.
And actually this brings me to a specific person who I really like reading and watching his podcasts. It's a man called Russell Brand.
Okay. Oh,
so for a bit of context for any international people, Russell Brand became a serious heroin user and alcoholic until one day he swore off taking these forever. His story started when he rose to stardom with... Sorry, I've got my notes here. So in the 90s, he was becoming a bit of a comedian, an up-and-coming comedian. And what happened to him is that he fell into the wrong crowd. And he started taking serious drugs, hard drugs, and eventually he swore off that. And he spent a few years where he was clean. However, he had this addiction to stardom. His ego was growing. He wanted to be in Hollywood, and he became known as a ladies' man.
Oh yes, like if you look at the interviews when he talks with, oh my God, he should be a guru of how to flirt.
What I'm saying is, however, the older generation in particular forget the last stage of his story. He's now an international bookseller, podcaster, and spiritual man who spends time at home with his family, practices martial arts, and meditates. And I think his last stage of his story is quite inspiring, and that's something that I look up to.
It is inspiring. Like it shows you, even through the adversities in your life, you can get to a point where you're proud of yourself. When you when you go to that Black and Orange website and you you make a decision to watch something and you watch it, and after that you absolutely hate yourself. And when you look at everything, every other thing that you look at, like if you look at your relationship with your partner, with the opposite sex, it will feel you like a work. It will feel like a chore to you because you have this habit of getting this pleasure from somewhere else. And when you look at a female, you don't look at them objectively. You don't look at their personality. You look at like, okay, in what many ways I can do these things with her. We'll say how can I perform. Because when they watch, when you watch pornographic content, it's an acting. They are acting. They are not doing it. The things you see in there, it's not real. Most of the time, it's not real. What you see is it's staged, and they think that's the kind of response they need in their life as well with their partner. And when it doesn't happen, the relationships start breaking apart.
It's think about what that does to your confidence.
Yes, it's and so every addicts quit their addiction at some point. And there are for some it takes a very long time, for some it takes short duration. For cocaine addiction it's 4 years, for compulsive weed smoking it's 6 years, for alcoholism it's 15 years, for tobacco it's 25 years. But when I was researching this, I couldn't find an average time duration for porn addiction. But what I did find was that given the duration and the severity of the addiction, the withdrawal can last from 1 month to 8 months.
Wow.
So the withdrawal effect can last for a long time.
Yeah.
And so if you immediately stop quitting it, it might not be helpful in the long run. But if you do it at stage and stage, you will get to a point after which you will be, oh yeah, now I can live without it. Yeah. And there are stories people who started watching the adult content when they were 11 years old. And now they're 58 or something and they're still watching it. So for 40 years they're watching it. They have their wife, they have their family, they have kids. Their kids are old enough to understand what they are talking about. The kids are old enough to explain to their kid why this is such a bad thing to do. But they are still watching it. They are still consuming it.
Yeah.
So that is what makes this thing worst.
Yeah.
It's like we can see from Gen Y or whatever generation you want to call them, from the generation that came before us, who had this come up in their life a bit later than it came up in our life. So this they were consuming it through magazines or basically like CDs and all that, which included very hard work. You know, you had to go to a shop and buy it and then doing it. But for us, it's so easy. It's just a click away.
Yeah.
So it makes this plague even severe to teenagers.
Well, the addiction as a whole is arguably a product of consumerist culture. And to quote Russell Brand in Freedom from Addictions, he says, the instinct that drives the compulsion is universal. And this is something that's gripped us in consumerist culture. And arguably, this is why when we look at things like pornography, the East Asian cultures are lower on average. It might be because they don't have that consumerist culture.
Apart from Japan and Philippines, yes.
Right. But the West, I think the West is extremely bad for consumerist culture. Look at the US; they consume the most. Right?
Yeah, the US and UK are the first and second countries who consume the most amount of pornographic content in the world, and they are also the country who has produced the most amount of pornographic content in the world. So Japan comes up there. Japan, in production, they might be higher, but the amount of people involved in the production are less compared to other places. And Japan as a culture, there are lots of incels in Japan, like the word you said. This incel culture which came out because their life is so fast-paced, they don't have enough time to fall in love with someone, and it's not even encouraged by people. Like they are encouraged to have this grandiose career rather than having a very good life with your partner or with someone else. This is like going back, like away and away. That's why the child birth rate is decreasing in that country, like that, and in Korea as well. So, but when you look at the pornographic content that they consume, like they are in top 4. So it would say, oh yeah, they might be involved in more intimate actions in real life as well. But this doesn't. Sorry, this doesn't reflect. So people who are watching the content, it doesn't, like, you know. So now it seems like the whole social media is sexualized. You see more sexual content in social media than you see non-sexual content. And they were also saying, when you look at the iceberg of the internet, the whole internet, like more than 80% of it is like nudity. But it's not true. It's only 4%. Only 4% of internet is pornographic content. But when you look at the top 20 websites, which gets the largest amount of traffic in the world, which that basically translates to the amount of people who go to those websites regularly in day-to-day basis, that you will not find any pornographic websites in top 10 because it's basically WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, and Google. Google is a tool that we use to go to the website, and also Instagram and Facebook is also a tool that people use to go to pornographic content, because so like Jamie said, it's an instinct. It doesn't you don't plan to basically watch a pornographic content in the morning and you do it in the evening. It happens. So how it happens is, like, when you go to Instagram, you see a model whose body might have been crafted by someone else, or whose body might be natural, we don't know. And you see that and you are attracted towards it, and you try to find something like that regularly. So it's called softcore porn is what they call it. So because you are seeing half of the body out there, like, you know, when people say you should not judge someone by the way they dress, please don't judge someone by the way they dress, but please don't, like, you know, allow a young person or even like an adult to watch that content regularly, because that content, then what happens is, like, they get aroused, they get attracted to or something, and they don't have any way to basically release that attraction other than going to the Black and Orange website or any other website, and then they start doing the thing. And that's not something
they're emotionally connected to, which is what causes the guilt afterwards.
Yes, because it's like you don't get the emotional feedback in it. But when you look at the top 20, the later 10 websites, most of them are basically the website that serve you the adult content. Most of it.
Interesting.
So that it's like when there was this study, it is from 2021, so it's not very recent. I was just reading it, and it was a comparison of one of the adult content website with YouTube. In that website, when you compare the amount of videos that the website has, it's like 2,000 hours long of videos, I think. And in the YouTube, it was like around some billion hours long or something like that. But the amount of duration people spent watching each video in that website was higher than the amount of time they spent watching a YouTube video. So people are watching those videos more often than they are watching the other one. Now, this is statistics. It will shock you. In 2015, in UK, people were watching more pornographic content than they were watching YouTube or any other subscription content in 2015.
It's insane.
So basically, so how old were you when you first were introduced to
the personals a bit?
Yes.
Maybe about 17.
Oh, that's very late.
Yeah, well,
like compared to many other people, that's late. But I think that's good.
I grew up late, which is
grew up late.
Yeah, I grew up late, which is why I always had an interest in academics, because all of my other mates were interested in something else.
Yeah.
But so, what I wanted to get onto is when we're talking about this habitual thing. This reminds me of things like smokers who are trying to quit. You will often see them holding something like a lollipop or chewing on gum because it's instinctive. So there's no way of them asking themselves, are they going to do it? They just do it. And a good example is my colleague said whenever he gets in the car, he picks up his vape pen. So it's not like he thinks I'm going to smoke when I get in my car. It's just that's the order. Unlock the door, open the door, pick up the vape pen and smoke it, and that's it really.
So it's a setting matters as well. If you're trying to get rid of quitting it, maybe he should not place the vape in the car, or maybe he should start using the other car or something like that, because the setting also matters. So you jump on the bed and you get the instinct to do that. So like I was when I was talking with my friends, I asked them, basically, being a shameless person as I am, like how old were they when they first encountered the pornographic content? The average age that I counted was 12-year-old.
Wow.
The youngest I found was 8-year-old.
That's crazy.
And still now, I know there are ways that parents can monitor their kids' devices and all that, but there are ways around it which kids find out. I don't know how they find it out, and they watch the content. It's not and it's free. It's available everywhere. It's just too few clicks away. And you know the kind of, you don't even have to log in. You don't even have to put in any details.
Yeah.
Unlike other places where you have to do that. It's like it's given to you as if like they are trying. It's like a bait. It's like a bait, and like you're like an animal who is going against the bait, and you take that and you fall into the trap. Yeah. So that's how it working. And the allure of digital pornography for young people especially, and even for adults, is so captivating and mind-boggling for a teenager who hasn't seen anything like that before. The dopamine rush that they get is unlike anything. Like when they start masturbating basically, and they get the kind of pleasure that they had never had before. And our brain likes dopamine. It loves dopamine. Yeah. And when you get into that a routine basis, when you start watching it compulsively, making it a kind of routine, you are doing it every day, once, twice, or maybe more than that in a day, then you go into that loop, that cycle. Like it's like a hamster going around the wheel again and again and again and again without stopping.
I have a tough question. Can I ask?
Yeah.
If not dopamine, then maybe people should turn to things. Wait, this isn't really a question, sorry. If not dopamine, people should turn to things like serotonin and oxytocin, and these are gained from helping your family, and also things like skin-to-skin contact. It doesn't, not in a romantic sense, but as in humans need to be around humans, basically.
Like picking up your child and gently hugging them and all those kind of things, because like I said, I say to my mom, ever since I have a very young brother and sister, they're twins, and ever since I said to my mom, ever since my brother, I'm close with both of them, brother and sister, ever since I started being very close, like living in the same house as them, I said I've become more emotional than I was before. I say that to my mom. I say it in a joke, in a funny way, but I think it's very true, because I care more about future now. I care more about what kind of person I will be like, because I did not have any role models. I want them to have a very nice role model, and I think and sometimes I think like, I'm quite kind of failing being a very good role model. So how should I act? How should I be? And also there are certain traps that I fell into at early age. Like I was 12-year-old when I was presented with pornographic content.
The holy grail of the internet.
Yeah, the holy grail. Yeah. When I started, I still remember the first website I went to. that I was given by someone that I went to, and the person who gave it to me was not outsider or someone, like it was not a friend or something. It was related person, and it's funny. It's funny how it happened, because they thought it would be apparently funny to see reaction, like how I would react to it, and I don't know how I reacted to it. I don't remember. Well, I remember all the reaction that I had with it, but I don't remember that reaction. And after some time, there was a point in my life when it became like a coping mechanism for the emotional things that are going around, or like something. It's like a basically like how would I call it? It's basically a place where I would go to feel safe.
Yeah.
So it became something like that, even though it was the complete opposite of that.
That's just like the pinnacle of what addiction means, really.
Yeah.
It's an escape.
And then, but then life happens. Bunch of things happen. Many people come in your life, and they change you in many ways. So something like that. People came to my life. They changed things in many different ways. When I talk about this, many people who know me, who are listening to it, will find very surprising that. I know about this, or I've been through this. Like, I can't openly, I'm being a hypocrite here. I say people to talk very freely and openly, but it's really hard for people to talk openly and freely. And I can completely understand that. We're talking about the dark side, or how people find it like a coping mechanism, or how people find it, they're related to it. It becomes a problem.
Can we move on to drinking now? Because I think drinking's highly related to what we're sort of going into now.
Alcohol.
Something I want to point out from my culture. I mean, we're shooting this from right here in the UK. The city we're in has a lot of pubs. The one near us, Portsmouth, they actually had the most pubs in the UK, I believe.
Oh, wow. Pub, Portsmouth.
Yeah, well, they did like 15 years ago. Now half of them are shut down. They still have a lot of pubs.
Maybe it was because of Port Town. There were many people working in the SIP building and all that.
Yeah, possibly. But according to the WHO, this was an article from The Guardian 2 days ago, 24th of April. Thank you. The UK has the most underage drinkers in the world.
Oh, wow.
So a lot of children are drinking alcohol, despite the fact that you have to be 18 to buy alcohol.
How do they get their hands on it?
Parents, I think so.
So parents actively give their children to drink alcohol.
Well, the thing is, in European culture, alcohol initially was seen as something good for you. It was used to relieve pain.
Yeah. And beer and cider was also used as a clean source of water as well back in the days.
Clean water, especially during the plague.
Yeah.
And cholera in the 1800s. And it also keeps the body warm. Europe's a very cold climate. So there were a lot of good reasons for people to drink alcohol, and because of those reasons, alcohol's never been seen as an issue, especially in this country.
Yeah, because when you look at the amount of addiction and amount of violence that is brought up by drugs, I mean, you can't say alcohol is any less than them, but alcohol is still legal.
I heard somewhere which said alcohol is one of the few drugs which make people angry. Can you believe that we sell that worldwide?
Yeah, during COVID time, during pandemic, countries like I know about what happened in India and Nepal. So basically, all the other shops were closed. But they allowed the alcohol shops to open at certain time, because the amount of tax the government collects from the alcohol shop is higher than any other place. So they were saying, okay, you are allowed to sell alcohol. Of course, there are mandates and all that. But yeah, and the reason they did that was because for the tax money. So how wild is that? And people are addicted to alcohol. People are addicted to coffee as well. It doesn't seem to have that much effect on you, or unless you drink it before 4 o'clock and go to bed on time.
You can get withdrawal symptoms, can't you? So
from coffee as well?
Yeah, anything you consume like this way, you get like physical headaches and stuff.
Yes. So alcohol. I haven't seen. It's so hard. Like when I save my beer and I go to a shop in here to buy even a soft drink, to buy a Monster or something like that, they ask me for ID, and I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, me too.
But when I have a beard and something, they don't ask me.
Oh man, what it is to grow a beard.
So, but I found it very difficult. Even me having an ID card, every time I have to show it. But I wonder how kids get, if not by parents or if not by someone who is an adult who, I don't know, a very selfish adult who doesn't want the future generation to be safe or something like that. Maybe it must be those kind of people who give it to them. Otherwise, how would they get it?
Yeah.
And so, what do you think? What was the first time you had alcohol?
It was when I was 17. I had like 1 or 2, and I remember looking in the mirror at my friend's house and thinking, I'm a bit dizzy. And that was like the first experience. But the bigger experiences started when I was 18. And so when I was 18, I was still working at a pub. And I was like kitchen porter, so cleaning out the back. I had friends and family who were working at this pub too. And what we have to remember is in the UK, you can find a pub on basically every street corner.
Yeah.
So it's no wonder that the adults grow into alcoholics, because it's embedded in the culture. And for me, a real pinnacle moment was when I was in first year at uni.
Yeah.
And I was drinking with a few mates who were quite bigger than me.
Yeah.
So they can handle it more.
I understand that.
And I had maybe a third of a big bottle of vodka.
Oh,
And
I hate vodka.
I don't remember much of that night, but I do remember waking up in the morning on my back, having been sick.
Oh.
And if you're sick in the night and you're on your back, there's a good chance you can choke on your own vomit and die. So
okay.
luckily I didn't die.
That was very close.
That was a moment where I thought, I'm going to drink, but I don't want to be drunk like that. It literally kills people. It's one of the biggest hospital admissions in the UK. It's alcohol poisoning.
Oh yeah, during holiday time. When they have in Winchester Hospital, because I used to work here. When they have this festival in Winchester in summertime, it's the most busiest time in Winchester Hospital. Like A&E is like packed with people who broke their leg, drunk people who broke their leg, broke their nose or something, like got into fight and all that.
It's extremely antisocial.
But it is used as a social, basically a tool that you. Basically a drink or a tool that you use in order to socialize with other people. That's the whole idea of it. Like the first time I had alcohol was because when I was with my friends. That was when I came to this country. Before that I have never had alcohol in my life. I despise being drunk. I don't like the fact of being even slightly drunk and not be able to basically I get paranoid. I get paranoid, oh, what's going on, something like that. And also the thing is I wonder what it would feel to have the same feeling or go through the same if I'm in a festival or something, go through the same event again without being drunk. So for me that I have that curiosity. So I try to not drink and all that. But the people who are in the party and all that, in order to enjoy with them or in order to basically join in a friend group with them, I got to drink. Well, they will not force though. It's not like in many friend circle, when you're a bit younger or something, they force you. It's not forced upon you. There is no a very high peer pressure, but there is certain peer pressure. It's like you want to feel accepted. You want to feel included in the group. So, and that's how many people fall for it.
It's not uncommon in this country for people to ask, why aren't you drinking? Or why don't you drink? But the real question is, why do you?
Why do you drink? Yes. I've worked at bar, you've worked at bar. You might have realized no one becomes more happy after drinking. Have you ever seen that? Someone being happier after drinking?
Yeah, they can be so happy. And the thing is...
They can be more happy after drinking or before drinking, you would say? I would say before drinking.
The thing is, alcohol makes you not think. It makes you think slower, and you're less aware of the consequences. So if you're having a good evening, you're going to have a brilliant evening, most likely. But if you're not feeling well, you're not going to feel well at all.
Well, I have had people come to the when they're at the restaurant, they come to the bar basically and they start talking about how shit their life is going. Their wife is cheating on them, or they're going through divorce or something, and they talk about this, and I'm like, okay, I understand. I know you're drunk. If you're not drunk, you're gonna say this. I'm trying to not listen and not remember this. Please don't go into detail. If you go more into detail, I'll more remember it. So it's basically because of social media and because of how easy it is to access things, it sounds like there is no way out of it. It sounds like there is no way out of vaping. It sounds like there is no out of basically living your life without having drunk once in your life, without living your life without smoke sucking on vape, which I absolutely hate once in your life, or without watching a pornographic content once in your life, because it's everywhere. The pornographic content, it's everywhere. The alcohol consuming is everywhere. You watch movies, you watch dramas, you watch even advertisements, and it's there.
So why not do it? That's what people are asking. That's what people are probably thinking. Why?
Of course.
Why are we going to quit it then if it's everywhere and everyone does it?
Well, it seems like everyone does it, but it's not true. I am a bit of I wouldn't say I consider myself doom scroller, but I'm a person. If you look at my social media average or my screen time average, which I'm trying to get it down by basically restricting each and every app in my phone at this point, it will be 90% higher than yours. Because I know for a fact, you and I have another friend, amazing friend called Jackson. These people are not, even though they are in social media, they are not hooked to their phone. They write their books, they read their books, they go to the nature, they enjoy the nature, they have good time with their family. When they come and talk with you, they can talk about the most interesting thing that you can think of. But someone like me, I would say, person who invests so much time in social media and in YouTube and all that, but what is the motive behind it? It's like saying, okay, I need to learn things. I need to be more educated, more aware. So if I watch this video, I'll be more aware. If I watch this video more, I'll be more aware. I don't even remember what video I watched before going to bed yesterday last night. I don't even remember that. But if I had read a book, I would have remembered that.
Can I just say, I do have these problems. But my problem is watching funny videos or cute cats.
I thought you were better than that. I was singing praise of you.
No,
I was just kidding.
It's like hypnotism. So I'm watching this funny, cute cat, and I'm thinking, oh, that cat's so funny and cute. And then I'm like, right, I'm done with that cat. And what's next? Oh, look, it's another cat. Oh, that cat's so funny. That cat's so cute. All right, what next? Next video. Oh, look at that. See, I'm doing the same thing again and again and again for like an hour.
But at least you're watching cat video. You're not going from watching a video of a famine in Yemen, which makes you really, really sad. You almost cry.
I do see sad stuff, and I just feel so bad.
The one thing that I don't like about this 60 seconds videos format or the social media in general, it's like, okay, we are all participating in it, but I think I can say why I don't like it because I use it. So the thing is, like, you go from a video, like you watch a video of like a bomb falling down in Gaza. You watch that, of a bomb falling on top of a hospital. Then you go and see like a kid basically eating his or her own hand because they don't have enough food in Yemen. Where literally their neighbor, they're putting gold leaf on their food. How ridiculous is that when you think about it? Yeah. And then you go and watch a video which is very funny. So you go through 2 or 3 different emotions in a span of a minute.
That's a lot.
So you become basically desensitized to any emotions that you feel. It's like, when people say, oh, I'm confused, I don't know how to feel. It's like, okay, that's the reason why you don't know how to feel. Because you have not been able to express your feeling after watching a 60-second or 15-second video and scrolling down and going another one and watching another one. Yeah. So you're constantly feeding your brain different emotions.
It's not making you stable. It's not making you stable. And we can blame, in part, the algorithms. These things, they watch what you watch and they recommend more of it. And that's one of the dangers of AI in particular. I would say that's right now one of the biggest dangers is not being shown different perspectives, really.
Yeah, it's like when Anis Varoufakis amazingly calls it techno-feudalism. Like one person, one algorithm controlling your whole life. It controls what you see, it controls what you look at, it controls what you eat even, it controls what you buy. It's basically one algorithm which controls it, and you are basically not given a perspective from another side. It's like, when you see those people make these conspiracy videos of a news channel where every news channel is saying the same thing. It's like, oh, today's discussion, this is all like that. It's almost like that. It's like, you couldn't... So, see, like back in the days, people used to watch movies to get entertained, watch documentaries to learn, watch news to get informed.
Or read books.
And read books to explore the different ways of living life.
Reading requires a lot of attention, which is why a lot of children can't read because they only have a 3-second attention span.
But these days, what we do, we watch movies to get entertained, we watch documentaries to get entertained, we watch news to get entertained, and we read books to entertain, but we are not even reading books anymore. So we do everything to get entertained. I have so many friends that have not read one proper book so far. Like they're 22-year-old, 23-year-old. They're not like at the end of their life. But I have friends who have not read a book in their whole life. And if I have some friends who have read the book, it's the kind of book like, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Fuck. That's the book they read. And
I've heard of that.
The Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is a very nice book actually. So it's the kind of book which are like very famous. And like in the culture where I come from, in Nepali culture, if you say you have read that book, people consider you as a bit of intellect or something.
Wow.
So that's the thing.
Interesting.
But yesterday, I was having a conversation with one of my friends from my high school basically. When we were in high school, I don't think... he was not that informed about things because I know for the fact because we were very close friends, and he started learning law, which was not his choice, but he did it anyway. But now he basically thanks God every day that he chose to study law. I was talking with him. We were talking about Slavoj Žižek, The amazing.
I love Zizek.
Oh, I love
He's
Slavoj
been
Zizek.
growing on me recently.
Yes, he is. The day we have him in our podcast is the day I achieved everything in my life, honestly. So we were talking about Slavoj Zizek, we were talking about Yanis Varoufakis, we were talking about the American anti-capitalist guy. Forgot his name. Sorry. Yeah, we're talking about all these amazing people, and we're talking about how our culture in Nepal is kind of like socialist culture. It's not capitalist culture. Like, you know, back in the days, it's kind of like communist culture, and that's why people embraced communism when it came. And we're talking about all these things. And I was like, you are the same friend that I had. Like, you know, like just 3 years ago, we would not be able to have this kind of conversation, but now I can. And I asked him, do we talk with other friends in the group? And he was like, I do with some of them, but it's really hard. Like, it's like, he says it's hard for me to tell them that these things, you need to, it's not necessary to learn about Slavoj Zizek for everybody. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not necessary to learn about the economic challenges that the world is going through for everybody. It's not. But if you are a human being living in this earth and you like exploring how things go about, you like exploring the philosophies, you like exploring the histories and all that, I think you should be informed.
Understanding yourself.
Yes.
And I think everyone wants to understand themselves, so everyone should try, I think.
To understand yourself, yes. And when you are understanding yourself and when you are basically trying to be that person, you learn history. And what do you learn from history? So yeah, history might not repeat itself. Like the same thing might not happen itself, but it will show you a pattern. And when you go look at your own history, it will show you what kind of what good place you have been to. Or if you basically, yeah, it makes you feel good at the end of the day.
Makes you feel good. I think this is a byproduct of consumerist culture. I don't think this is inherently a capitalist problem. Some people argue it is, but I think it's the problem of taking something in for the sake of enjoyment.
Yeah.
And I don't, can I read my quote now?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a 0 hour thoughts.
It's my 0 hour thought moment. So I was coming up with this when I went to get on the bus. A culture. So this is, by the way, this is about books, because I've noticed a lot of people read books and they only like to talk about the books they brag about. And I think you should talk about all books. A culture that worships novelty even sees core values as novelty. It is convenient for them because they can use it and it is popular. Once the fad dies out, they will return to nothing until the next value comes along. For example, someone saying, I like these new shoes, has now become equal to, I like this book.
Wow, amazing. Even the books have fallen into the trap of trend.
Yeah, because like you were saying about that rich dad, poor dad, it's like, it's not, the focus isn't about the content, it's about whether you've read it or not.
Yeah.
And that doesn't matter. What should matter is the application and maybe how you can develop your opinions on that topic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's very true. Amazing stuff that you wrote. Amazing.
Thank you.
Like, you know, when my friends were reading The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck and all that. So basically the book teaches you the things that you should consider in your life, the things you should focus in your life, and there are things that you should not focus in your life, but you are focusing a lot. So how do you differentiate between them? It teaches you about that. Like, you know, when you're at the so there is one part where he says at that time I imagined Dover in my mind. I don't know why. Or the Land's End, I imagine
Cliffs.
that. Yeah, cliffs. So I imagine Land's End in my brain. So basically, the book goes. It goes like, so when you're at that cliff edge, one part of your brain will say jump. The other part of brain will say don't jump. It's risky. You should not jump. You might die. But one part of your brain says jump. Like, you know, feel how it feels like to fly or something like that. So that part is what you should not giving your F's to. But the part that says don't jump, take one step back, is the kind of things you should give your F's to. But basically saying things that help you in your life. Think about them. Things that are in your control. Think about them.
Yeah.
Things that you kind of know the outcome of. Think about them and do them. But if there are things that you can't control, don't think about it. It's the first stoic kind of philosophy principle that I learned when I was very young. I don't know how old I was. I don't know how I learned it. It must be from watching someone talk about it. They said, think about the stuff, like, you know, don't take stress from the things that are not in your control. Only take stress from the things that are in your control. And I live with that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
I try to live with that.
Yeah.
Because see, when I'm thinking about, like, you know, basically something happens to me, like, okay, if you say something very bad to me, or if we get into a fight, when I go home and think about that, it's hurting me, it's not hurting you. And it hurts the people around me as well, because I'm in bitter. I'm in a bitter mood.
Yeah.
I'm not in mood to talk with anybody. I'm not in mood to hug my sister, hug my brother. You know, and it hurts them
Yeah.
by thinking about you, which is not even in my control. Like I can't even control what you think. I can't even control what you say.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
that is something that I think everyone should try to implement in their life. I know it's very hard. And I'm not trying to be a guru or something here. I'm not perfect. I'm the most imperfect person you'll ever find, actually. But
I don't mean to say I was just following you. I wasn't
no.
agreeing.
It's even if you say yes, I don't mind. But if there is something that you can control, think about it. If there is not something that you can't control, don't think about it. Once you give an interview, don't think about the outcome, because it's not in your control. Yeah. Once you apply for that visa, for all Nepalese people I'm talking, don't worry about the outcome of the visa, because you have already done what you could.
Beautiful words. And when you're talking about the cliffs of Dover or Land's End, and your brain saying one part says jump, a very strong voice, and a small voice says don't jump. That reminds me of Pinocchio. Do you know the movie Pinocchio? They have that little cricket guy, the magical guy with the top hat, Jiminy Cricket. He's giving Pinocchio all the good advice, but he's about this big, he sits on his shoulder and he's annoying. So Pinocchio runs away from him, and eventually he becomes friends with Jiminy Cricket because his dad nearly dies because he gets stuck at the bottom of the ocean or something like that. So it comes back to bite him for ignoring it. And I think that's part of life. And I think you need that experience. You need to have the experience of going away from that voice, but eventually come back to that voice.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
In the same way, going through the experience of being engulfed by the pornographic content, or being engulfed by the messed up, dopamine giving content in the social media, the one that takes you from being sad to being happy to being funny, and then sad again, and then happy again, and then being funny, and then you hate yourself, and then you hate the world around you. You don't want to go out of your room, and you basically live that life. Yeah. So I think it's important to go through that, but not completely. I think it's important to watch few pornographic content, because it will teach you few things that you might not know, because no one teaches you. It's not taught in this school. Like in where I come from, we don't have sex ed. There is no one teaching you how to use what is called basically condom. Yeah, basically the self-sex practices. There is no one teaching us. I mean, at least when I was in reading that curriculum, it was not there. So the way we learned it was through the content. So yeah, in some sense it might help you. Doctors, they watch pornographic content to even understand the intimacy and the interior, the body parts and all that.
Right.
So in that sense it will help you. But if you fall into the rabbit hole of making it as a way to release yourself, literally and figuratively, release your emotions, then you fall into the hole, basically a hole.
But I do want to say that there is some silver lining, because we wouldn't be talking about this if we knew nothing about it.
Yeah.
So you have to. It's part of growing up, really. You're going to have something traumatic, and maybe it's addiction, because addiction can be traumatic. But then it's what you do after that. Like, it's going to cause you to be at this really low point. But then, like your friend you're talking about with COVID, but then once COVID ended, he's thought, am I really going to carry on watching this? And he said to himself, no, I'm not.
Yep.
So you have to go to that place. People have their addictions, but we pray that they get over them.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like I have a cousin who is a few years younger than me, not a lot younger, a few years younger than me. He's my cousin brother. And last time when I saw, not the last time, but a few times before that when I saw him, I went through his phone history. I was like, okay, give me your phone. I want to see history. I want to see what you've been consuming. And he was like, oh, do you think I'm that stupid that you would I would not hide these things? And I'm like, okay, so that means you have been watching it. And he was like, yes. And I said, how often? He said me, it was not bad at all. He's just basically starting. And I said, okay, here is the thing. If you start doing it regularly, it will be so compulsive that you will do it regularly until you are 30, 40-year-old. You will have a wife, but you will never enjoy any intimate things that you do with your wife, because this thing will take over that. You will have a children, but you will not be able to physically be present with them, because you'll always be thinking about that thing in the back of your head. Yeah. And and then but we will be here. You will be just like as you are. Like, you will be healthy human being. I'll be healthy human being. But when you look at the world, when I look at the world, if I follow this trend as well, we will not be the best persons that other people should be around. I wouldn't consider myself a best person to raise a kid if I'm into that. If I'm addicted to this. Yeah, it is taboo to talk about it. I don't think it should be taboo to talk about it. I think people should be more accepting that there are more porn addicts than any other addicts out there. And there are, and basically everyone has seen it at some point. And there are, like, when you talk about the young generation, like Gen Zs and all, more than 50% of them consume it in regular basis, in daily basis. So there is, there is a huge amount of crowd who is going to it, who is suffering through it as well. But then, like I said to my cousin, it's like, make a decision. I would say don't do it. Like, please don't do it. Like, I would say to that. I know how hard it is to not do it. And you might feel like you're missing out if you don't do it, but you're not missing out on it. You're not missing out. You're not missing out anything. You will be more confident than any other guy out there when it comes to go and talk with a girl.
This reminds me of what you were saying earlier when you were talking about your night out and drinking alcohol. And you thought to yourself, what would this night out look like if I wasn't drinking alcohol? Yeah. Do the same with your week. Yes. How would my week look if I didn't watch it so many times? I mean, it could be just one day less. One day less. How does that change your week? Yeah, it's probably going to change it positively. And
it's also unhygienic. You will get lots of disease if you are come from like a place where you live in damp and all that environment. You might get infection down there. You might get fungus down there, and you don't want to live with that.
That's a good deterrent. That's a good deterrent.
So it's also about the health. It's also about basically about the health. And one of the major thing is, like, back in the days, basically physical attraction used to be the motivating factor for a guy or for one sex of a person to go to the opposite sex and basically go and talk with them. Be like, not try to sleep with them, like that's not the end goal, but basically try to find a partner in your life. That used to be the basic motivating factor, one of the motivating factor. But now we don't even have that anymore, because people go to OnlyFans and they say, oh yeah, the person in OnlyFans will do what I say if I pay some money. So they have this sense of authority. And they have this sense of basically being bigger than, like, they are the one who are in control, and they are consumed by it. So they don't think of going to the opposite sex, like, having a good life. Like, I'm not saying you need to marry, like, you need to be married to enjoy your life. I'm not saying you need to be in a partnership with someone, like you said, to enjoy your life. But I think you should try to have someone in your life. Have that relationship that maybe it's intimate, maybe it's not intimate relationship. That basically... you're not alone. You're not lonely, because we are the loneliest generation ever.
That's a good bit of advice there. Like, you're not the only one addicted to this.
No.
There's so many people that have the same problem, exact same problem.
They're going through the same thing. They might be even watching the same video.
You know what? Probably. And actually, with these algorithms and scrolling, they probably are watching the same videos.
So it's like when you start, you like any kind of nudity will make you release, and after that you go into extreme. The reason why people in OnlyFans, only the top people earn money. It's a myth that everyone in OnlyFans earns a lot of money. It's only the top people, top 1% or something like that. The reason that they earn so much amount of money is, first thing, curiosity, and second thing is the fact that the people who are paying for it feel like they are in control when they are not in control. And it also leads to violence. It can. I mean, if you look at in India, the pornographic content was banned in 2015. And when you look at the amount of rape cases, registered rape cases, from ever since 2016 and all that, it went a bit higher in 2016, but it has gone down now. So it could be it could be reason because of the pornographic content is banned in India.
That is awful.
Yes. Because that had to happen in order to and we don't know other factors as well. It might be because people are registering it less as well, because it happens a lot. And in Nepal as well, it was banned in 2018. But if there is anyone from Nepal and India who is watching this, and if you have VPN in your phone, I know exactly what you are using that VPN for. And if you are parents of young people, talk with them. Don't shout at them. Just talk with them. Ask them, why is it so alluring? Maybe they will not be able to answer to you. They will feel very ashamed, and it's rightly so, because they will be. It's something that you guys do in private that they don't want to say. Okay, I know that my parents are doing this. They don't want to say that. They don't want to know that. It's not the good thing to know. It's not a good thing in a sense that you can't basically digest it. So go and talk with your kid. Say there are so many side effects of it, and if you have gone through that hell, then let them know. Tell them your story. I don't think your child would disrespect you more because you just ask them not to watch a pornographic content. I think they will be more respectful towards you, and you will be their friends as well, which is a big thing. This is a very good thing, being friends. And so, how to get rid of all these addictions? The social media addiction, basically. We're not the experts, but there are various resources available online. There are groups of people who basically are trying to be celibate, not kind of celibate, but they are not like watching pornographic content and all that. There are those kind of help groups which you can find online. They should have like one local group as well. I know it's not advertised more like for like as a hard drug, like hard drug abuse group, like you will find them, but not these ones. But yeah, and digital detox, it can help you. Going out with your friends, going into the nature, like we went to Scotland, that was amazing. No one was in the phone in that time, was it?
We had a fun time.
Yes.
By the way, ladies and gentlemen, we went to Scotland about 2 weeks ago. A bit of mountain climbing, and I'll tell you what.
It was not a mountain.
Well, I'll tell you what, in the south of England, there's nothing as tall as Arthur's Seat.
Oh, yes.
Maybe it's like, 170 metres tall?
Yeah.
But then it's just you
something like that,
from the Himalayas just bragging against Jackson from the Rocky Mountains, who's better at mountain climbing. And I was just there thinking, I can't get up this hill.
What was the time difference between you guys and me when I reached the top?
You went up the stupidly steep path.
Yes. It was amazing.
I would advise against.
Oh yeah, like I would also advise against it, because there were a few instances I feel like, did I make a bad mistake? Because there was nothing to hold on to.
I would have been shocked if you just started falling down.
No, that wouldn't. Yeah, that didn't happen, and it would not happen. So yeah, go into the nature, be away from the screen, and be away from the horror it brings. Try to basically limit your time that you use in your social media. If you have iPhone, it's you can go to screen time saving and all that, and you can basically set how long you are using the things, like all the apps and all that. And you should not stop completely doing it. Like we said earlier, the brain will demand it, and it will basically demand it with even more and with even higher intensity. So it's a gradual process which requires your willpower, your dedication, and your discipline.
Sorry to jump in here, but with discipline, remember, this is a powerful reward system. So reward yourself sometimes. It doesn't have to be this, but something. Give it to you sometimes.
Yes. Read a book, and every time you finish a chapter, have a chocolate, have a bar of Mars bar or a Galaxy or Cadbury.
Yeah, but be realistic. Don't just watch an explicit video every time you read a sentence.
Yes, then it will be even worse. That will be even worse.
Think about it.
And so there is also this saying that goes around quite often. It's like in order to kill one addiction, you need to have another one, which is not true. You don't need to have another addiction to kill one addiction, because that addiction that you have will also impact your life in bad way. Because none of the addiction is good. Like even reading a lot of book. If you are addicted to reading a lot of book, that's not good for you, because you are experiencing the life lived by someone else. You're not experiencing your own life. That's even worse than I would say. Like
it's expression as well. Expression away from it.
So yeah, when you so basically try to talk with people around you. Try talking about it will make you feel relatable with the people, and with their support you can get rid of it. And for those who use it as an emotional outburst and scapegoat, try feeling the emotions without resenting them, because it will just go away after a few minutes or a few seconds or a few that feeling will just go away, and it will realize you that you're supposed to feel that feeling. That's why we have this tendency, and we have this amazing human quality that we can feel all these emotions.
Can I jump in and say, if you're going to talk to someone about these problems, talk to someone that will listen. Don't talk to your drunk friends about not drinking. Because if you talk to your drunk friends or your friends who drink a lot, and you say to them, I want to stop drinking, they're going to go, oh no, don't do that. Why would you do that?
They will say you're not fun anymore. And that's the worst thing
exactly.
You want to listen.
Talk to the people who listen. Please.
So yes, basically there is one guy in YouTube that I know of. It's called Dr. K Healthy Gamer, and he has amazing resources and amazing advices that you can go and listen to, and he is very, very helpful. I would advise you, if you are into these kind of things, don't be ashamed of yourself. Like if I were to see you tomorrow, I'll give you a hug. Like, you just come to me and you say, oh, I watch it regularly. If you say that to me, I'll come and give you a hug, and I will not even judge you, because I have been through the same shit, and I know lots of people who have been through the same shit. I know the pain that we go through when that happens. So yes, and so basically, yeah, there are other experts. Go and listen to them. Maybe go to therapy if that is required for you. And yeah, but we should definitely start talking about it more, and so that we can take a collective action. May that be banning porn all along, or basically banning it for kids who are younger than 16-year-old or 15-year-old, because that's not the right age, in my opinion.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah.
Like alternative forms of expression, like you're talking about walking in nature. Also, there's exercise. Maybe it would be a good idea if governments had more free programs for people under the age of 18. Spend less time on their phone and more time in the gym.
Exactly, or even write basically a short story, write a poem. Make TikTok videos if that is your muse.
Build Lego.
Build Lego. If those are your muse, go for it. Go for it. So yeah, I think that concludes our topic that we wanted to talk about.
0 hour thought?
I'm gonna go to my 0 hour thought, and thank you everyone for listening so far. And I have 2 0 hour thoughts today, which I said them yesterday as well. The title of the first one is Love or Hate, with question mark. In love, one finds an unyielding surrender to the intricacies of the other. But to hate, one must release the parasitic grip of the hatred from their heart and their mind, allowing the light of lessons to pass without any indignation. For even hate to bring entitlement, a bitter knowledge paid dearly. To truly love someone is to accept them for who they are, and to embrace their other's battle as your own in this bewildering world. Each of us are trapped in the intricate mazes of battles and struggles. Life tortures us, some more than others, but we are tortured nonetheless. We are similar in many ways. And the second one is the title for this was given to me by my lovely friend Jamie.
Suggestion.
And the title is Dear Woman, and I think this title is very fitting as well. A man who loves you can never see can never see tears in your eyes. Sorry, I'll start again. Dear woman, a man who loves you can never see tears in your eyes, for he can never see his world in pain, for he can never see his home in anguish. His home and the world are what he lives for. The world that is out there doesn't exist when he looks into your eyes and sees the happiness he has always dreamed about. Thank you.
He's a poet. He is a poet.
I'm not as good as you.
No.
Yes.
Styles.
People, let's love each other more. And yeah, there is hatred. When you love, you should love for absolutely whatever comes. Don't love, but if you love someone, love for who they are. Don't try to change them to your will, because you will start hating them, because you will hate yourself. You don't see, all of us, we have very, very bad habits, and we should not be preaching about it to other people.
By the way, it's a good song, Bad Habits.
Oh yeah, I like that song as well.
I recommend listening to that as well.
So thank you everybody to listening to us, listening to today's podcast. I hope to see you on next one. I'm going through a bit of exam and assignment routine right now, so yeah, we'll do something. We'll definitely do something. And thank you, and subscribe to our channel and help us grow.
Love to see you again. Please listen more, and thank you for listening today.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.